Okay, it's Friday, 4th of March 2011, and I traded like a total tosser today. So if I get a bit irate in this video, that's the reason why. And today was an absolute gift, and I screwed it up, and it's so obvious. So I'm going to go through my charts and tell you why it's so obvious. First of all, I finished yesterday's video before the close, and I said the average trade size was reasonably high at the end of yesterday, but I didn't think it was as high as we saw on the other peak. Well, as soon as the market closed, you could see from the average trade size chart that it was just like the previous peak. So this is the 135-minute chart. There are 3 of these bars in a day. So this is today's activity, the sell-off and the bounce that we got today. And this is the close yesterday on Thursday. Here's the average trade size, up at 8 again, showing the professionals were taking profits on this test back up to 1330, just as they had when I kind of called the decline on Monday, coming into Tuesday here. This was the close on the Monday. We were up at over 8. That showed professional profit taking as soon as we got into those kind of exhaustion patterns, end of trend warning signals on 1330 overnight. Bang, we kind of came down hard. We had exactly the same thing going on last night, and it was obvious that we were going to decline from there with profit taking here. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, let me show you first of all the 4,500 tip bar chart. So yesterday I was saying, we'd come into exhaustion buying with end of trend warning signal here, all of these flush signals, exhaustion buying and so on, and this new high that we were making towards the end of close was just an exhaustion move. And then overnight there's a pullback and an end of trend warning signal here. Here's the pullback signal. It's kind of a little bit confused in there, in those kind of green bars. And then there's the end of trend signaling the high up at 32. Beautiful pattern. Bang. Okay, let me try and explain this. What I look for is end of trend warning signals happening in the lower time frames, gradually moving up to the higher time frames. When you see them in the lower time frames, they're forming the shoulder, the left shoulder of a pattern, and we get a pullback in the higher time frame, leading to a head pattern, which is an end of trend warning signal in the higher time frame. Let me try and explain that. These were the end of trends warning signals coming up on the 4,500 tip bar chart here. You go one time frame up, this is the 13,500 tip bar chart. This is showing a shoulder type patterns, kind of a maxing out. It's when we've got a move beyond a resistance level into trend. This tends to max out when we get an end of trend warning signal in the lower time frame, like this. And then we have a pullback in this higher time frame, and then we retest up to the highs, which is using the head of like a head and shoulders type pattern, and that shows as an end of trend in this time frame. So I'm looking between time frames to see these kind of moves starting in the lower time frames and moving up to the higher time frames. Okay, long and short of it is, when we were seeing these end of trend on the warning signals on the 4,500 tip bar chart are moving a little bit higher than that, that's showing exhaustion. When we finally move up to a second end of trend, that's totally exhausting this move up, particularly when this is kind of the overnight session being driven by the amateurs and so on. And what we'd seen is we'd had exhaustion buying by the end of the day, and coming into the overnight session, the amount of buying was very weak. We had all these bearish divergence patterns right here. Now, when it came to the open today, I was looking for a second cyclical turn after end of trend warning signals. So I was looking at this end of trend and looking for us to retest up to these 32 levels to be entering short. Well, that was totally the wrong thing to do. We've had that exhaustion move, and this amount of buying that had gone on, the divergence, and we're back down to zero, shows exactly that move is over. We've got that exhaustion in terms of price. We have all the professional activity here at the close. We have the average trade size at the end of the day that's telling us, the professionals are active right at the end of the day, and so we're kind of rolling over. I should have been looking for a trend move. Now, during this time period here, kind of early in the day, I was looking at these kind of blue professional bars at the lows and trying to buy this low and looking for a reversal, a second end of trend to kind of get short. Well, as soon as we kind of cracked below this support level, we moved into a really strong downtrend. So that was lesson number 1 for me, and it's obvious in retrospect, and I should have been at it. The reason I was trading badly today was unfocused. I've had a good 2 or 3 weeks, and I was just cavalier about the way I approached my trading today. I'm really mad because this was a total gift. Anyway, so the break below this support level, I actually got short at this level, but I just took out 2 points on the downside, 2.5. It was pathetic. I should have been waiting for far more on this downside move. Now, when we come to the downside, and I talked about this yesterday, that I'd be looking for, I said there was going to be a pullback, and it would go into, we'd find support on the pullback in the 13,500 tip bar chart, which is initially where we did find support. However, on the 4,500 tip bar chart, this move is not over. We're in a trend move. We're below support. We have to find a pullback and an end of trend warning signal here. It's like this move is not over. Although we found support at this level here, the trend move in the lower time frame has to find a completion move, has to reach this kind of end of trend. So we had a pullback and then a final end of trend. Now, this hasn't marked an end of trend in terms of text here, just because this breakout of this pullback level was not a clean kind of turn at this turning level. Because we kind of broke above that, the code, the indicator beta sine wave, does not print this as an end of trend. But everybody who uses beta sine wave, you should recognize that this is, when that happens, this is an end of trend warning signal. It's just a decision I made about how I wanted to code this, that I didn't want these actually printed as end of trends, but that's effectively exactly what's happened. So this trend move down, we tried to be caught by support here at 13,500, but the trend move was not over. In fact, we got caught by the next time frame up. It became a cyclical low on the 40,500 tip bar chart, and you can see the cyclical low has just printed there at 1310. So this move was a clear kind of trend move. As soon as we broke below there, we ran into this downtrend move that was ended with this cyclical low down here. So it was just total gift in terms of a short trade. I knew we'd have a pullback, and I was just poorly positioned. I should have been looking at this as a break level and getting short and looking for support at that 13,000, and when the 13,000 didn't hold, recognizing that this was a continuation of this downtrend move. And you can see, coming into this pullback level, we had professional up bars into this pullback level here at this point. Short little professional bar right at the highs here, professional up bars. As soon as the low is taken out there, we're going to go into a downtrend to find this kind of next cyclical support here. So I don't know, for me this is kind of just so obvious, and I'm really mad with myself for not kind of catching this. I suppose the takeaways are, first of all, I have to get slap myself in the morning to get really focused, because this did require some focus to kind of catch this move, but you knew it was happening because the professionals were active at the end of yesterday. We'd had all of these end of trend warning signals on the 4,500 tip bar chart. Now let me just talk about the buying pressure and what we're seeing in kind of better momentum and so on. Coming into these highs, we'd had our exhaustion buying, less and less buying, bearish divergence patterns. We fall into a downtrend. Now the first kind of leg down of this is led by an exhaustion kind of selling signal. The second one kind of comes down another exhaustion selling signal at this end of trend effectively signal here. And I've talked about this. If we get this, we need to wait for some kind of divergence, a second cyclical turn after end of trend. This is the second cyclical turn after end of trend. Printed a little bit late, a couple of bars later. Would have been nice right at this low on 1312. We made this double bottom here, and there's our flush signal at that second cyclical turn. That for me is kind of a high probability kind of reversal trade. Not going to take that obviously at the end of the day. I was out with a 5.5 point loss or something on the day, so I was not interested in trading after that, kind of licking my wounds. But you can see down here all of these amateur bars right at the lows, particularly this one here where we get an amateur down bar testing into 1312, and then the next time we come in, all of these blue professional bars coming into 1312. This cyclical level we know is kind of approaching, if you like, and then the market kind of rallies from there. So it was kind of an obvious kind of bottom once you'd seen this pattern on the 4,500 tip bar chart. On the 1,500 tip bar chart, again there were some good kind of signals on this. Coming into this turning point, when we kind of broke the lows, this was amateurs up bars at the high here, and when this level did not hold, we did break into a downtrend. I was out at this point here where we'd had our exhaustion selling and the first blue professional bar, which was a pro signal exit, and this move just kept on going for another 3 or 4 points, and so I was angry to be out kind of that early. But then this was a perfect little re-entry here coming up at 10:30. We'd had blue professional bar coming into the highs here, and these Rambo patterns. This is amateurs kind of active trying to buy this breakout at this point, and as soon as this turning level happens here, which I'm pretty sure coincided with a turn on the 4,500 tip bar chart here, there, that was a great little signal to kind of go short. We had two time frames kind of coinciding at that point, and that was a brilliant short trade. And this move was not over until we got our end of trend, and in fact a second cyclical turn after end of trend down here at 1312. Again, probably would have been out too early on a pro signal where it had our exhaustion selling and the blue professional bars here. This move did kind of keep on going to the downside. And then we came into this kind of triple, quadruple bottom kind of being made. Here's the professionals kind of coming back in, bullish divergence, and we've rallied from there. So there we go. Get a little bit of a rant from me just because I'm angry with myself because, as I say, it was a gift today, and I should have been making money today instead of losing money today. But it's because I was unfocused on my trading. Now, kind of going forward, you get this sense that the weekend is approaching and all hell is going to break loose in the Middle East right now. I have no idea what's going to happen, but for me, I see a bottom happening in the market. So let me show you a couple of things. First of all, the trend lines. I've had this on the last video. This was back in December. We broke into this uptrend move, and we've come into the first kind of consolidation area that we've had since the end of November. First of all, we kind of broke above that move. This was on the Thursday. I talked about this, saying we could easily re-enter into this kind of consolidation zone. The lines are really close, clearly painted here. If we start back down, towards 1310, 1300, we are going to go into a downtrend move. But we've seen quite a lot of strength in the market, and I'll show you what better momentum is showing. That we could easily kind of break into an uptrend above this trend line. So although the news in the marketplace is really worrisome, bearish, we've got crude back above 100, up to 105 or something today. All this kind of bearish mood around right now. We could easily be moving into an uptrend. So just be aware of that. If we break above 1330 on Monday and start kind of moving up, it's like we're going to take out 1314 really quickly and start moving to the upside into a new uptrend. On the better sine wave on the daily chart, I've said we're still a day or two possibly away from a cyclical bottom being put in there. But on the Dow chart, on the Nasdaq chart, both of those lows have been put in, and they're pullbacks and uptrend. So I look at all three indices to find out where those cyclical turns might kind of happen. So just be aware of that. There is some support coming in, and then look at the better momentum chart. We've had our exhaustion selling on the downside and a flush signal at the end of the day, so we could be moving into an uptrend move here. If I start looking at the higher time frames here, okay, hopefully that's a little bit cleaner. We've maxed out at 1340 up here. We'd had all of these bearish divergence signals coming at these highs, and we were making higher and higher highs on less and less volume, and you could see all these bearish divergence patterns, and eventually it kind of rolled over. Well, the first low of this move was marked with an end of trend warning signal on the 40,500 tip bar chart here. You can see we'd had our exhaustion buying into this move. This low was being made on a bullish divergence signal here, and we rallied from there. We rallied back up to 1330, amateur bars right at the highs, kind of a little bit of a spike in buying at this point, and we've come back down to the first time. This is back on Tuesday, came back into 1300, and at this point we had exhaustion selling on the downside again. This bottom was made with bullish divergence, and we've rallied since then. Very weak buying at this point. We kind of roll over for a third time, and exhaustion selling on the downside. Now, look at the difference. The low that was made on this amount of selling at this point was about 1292, and the next time we came in, we kind of just made it past 1300, but the amount of selling was a fraction more. This last time into 1310, we had even more selling than we had on the last couple of times we came into these lows, and the price destruction was only down to 1310. So you could look at this and say, look, this is all the sellers have sold. They ran out of ammunition this time around into 1310, and support came in at 1310, and the market started to rally. So arguably, you could say that this is effectively all the sellers have sold, and we're going to rally from here. A lot of bearish news in the out there. We've got a lot of pundits saying the Middle East is going to break into some kind of conflict, intervention, whatever, blah blah blah. But the surprise move would be a break above 1300 into an uptrend Monday, Tuesday. So that's a possible scenario. Just be aware of that, just because we've had this exhaustion selling on the downside. And if we look at the 4,500 tip bar chart, we've had although this exhaustion selling in a flush signal here